Yes, I'm live once again. My name is Titi Oyinsan. Thank you so much for joining me once again. We're live right now on LinkedIn and on YouTube, and it's time for one-on-one. Today, we're talking crypto again. The Pan-African Crypto Exchange Yellow Card has secured $40 million in Series B funding round. Now, the round, led by Polychain Capital, brings Yellow Card to a total of $57 million raised, more than any company on the African continent. Now, there are news stories and there are news makers, and we believe this is one of them. Welcome to One-on-One. So Yellow Card Financial African Cryptocurrency Exchange has announced the closed $40 million Series B funding. What does this mean? It means that, they're doing quite well. The round was led by Polychain Capital with participation from Valar Ventures, Third Prime, Sozo Ventures, Castle Island Ventures, the Raba Partnership, John Wiener, Alex Wood, Pat Duffy, and many more. Now, the funding is going to enable this company to drive exponential business growth, continue its successful expansion across the a new product innovation. Now, it's all about strategic partnerships across Africa with this particular company, and we thought it was a good idea for us to have a conversation on it. Who are we talking to today? We have Alice Tomdio. Now, she's a Cameroonian-American. She's a professional chief financial officer at Yellow Card Financial, a leading Pan-African cryptocurrency exchange. She's also the former head of finance at Paystack. And prior to that, she spent about 10 years at PricewaterhouseCoopers, working with clients across global capital markets in New York, London, and Lagos. It's a pleasure having you with us today, Tomdio. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Titi. Great to be here. I'm super excited. Thanks for those
All
kind
right.
words.
So, oh, no, really. Um, First of all, women in tech, first of all, a thumbs up. And there's a to unpack there. We don't have that much time to go through that, but I appreciate the fact that you could take some time to talk to us. I know you are based in Joburg these days. Now, you need to talk to us about the sort of obstacles that Yellow Card had to jump over, the hoops you had to jump through to be able to secure funding like this, and become essentially the largest crypto company in the continent. Talk to us.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know how much your audience follow the venture funding space, the general funding space, but I guess everyone is feeling the pain to some extent in their pockets with rising inflation, local currencies kind of dropping on the back of the US dollar being strong. So there's a lot of volatility out there, and everyone is talking about a looming recession. And we happen to be in the middle of our fundraising round at the beginning of like crypto winter, looming recession, and all that, right? A lot of people were pulling checks out from commitments. And I think it really goes to say that we have us and anyone who's raising in this environment, really, you really have to have very strong fundamentals, right? And so I'm super, super proud that we were able to ride the tide and come out strong and close our round, because we started the process around February or so when I joined, late February, early March, and and we got our commitment, first commitment, and Polychain signed up to lead our round soon after, and we closed our round in the midst of crypto winter, Bitcoin prices dropping, and everyone kind of tightening their belts. So yeah, super blessed and grateful, and I think it's a testament to the team and the product that we're building at Yellow Card.
And in terms of products, maybe we should break down to those who are watching what sort of product you actually provide, because a lot of
Yeah.
people are still a little bit on the fence. They don't really know what a crypto exchange provides for people. So for me, someone like me that understands a little bit more, crypto equals freedom, but for some, it doesn't equal
Yeah.
freedom. It's still a maze. It's it's still confusing. So for those who are newbies who want to understand exactly what you do, how do you break down?
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, I myself, right, when was first introduced to crypto, I was introduced to crypto by a friend who tried to open a Coinbase account for me back in 2016, and I was like, oh, what is this? This is too hard. I don't know, right? So I was a skeptic as well, right? And then I eventually converted in 2018. I wish I actually opened that Coinbase account in 2016. But two things I want to say about that, right? One is what we're trying to do at Yellow Card is we're trying to solve basic financial problems, right? You have people who view crypto as a religion, right? As a way to just be completely decentralized and separated from traditional establishment. And you have people who are just trying to make their ends meet. They're just trying to solve basic problems. And I think we sit on that second pole, right? We're just trying to solve basic financial problems for Africans. And we view crypto as a really, really good tool to solve that problem. I came from traditional finance, and I can tell you for a fact that it's very difficult to make payments work, to make remittance work. It's expensive, it's painful, right? And what we're trying to do at Yellow Card is just solve that problem in a frictionless way. And we have two key products right now, and we have very, very, very exciting products in our pipeline that we're looking to launch this quarter and early next year. But right now, there's two products. There's the traditional exchange where you as a customer can onboard and buy and sell crypto. And the second product, which is called Yellow Pay, is you onboard and you can send money cross border on crypto rails without even realizing that you're using crypto. So if I'm in Nigeria and I want to make a payment to someone in Ghana, if I'm a tech company, for example, right? I want to make a payment to someone in Ghana. I load up my Nairas and I send and I see how much that person will receive in CDs. And we handle the crypto rails, right? So that's Yellow Pay. And then the traditional exchange, which is you load up, get Nairas, buy USDT, buy Ethereum, buy Bitcoin, and we're loading on more coins hopefully over the next
Okay, so
couple
can
of
I
months.
ask one?
Mhm. Hello? Oh, now I can. Hello? I think I lost you there for a minute. Okay. Yeah, and I think our traditional exchange is essentially we let people buy and sell crypto, right? And listen, I think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done in the crypto industry, including us, to make it more accessible, understandable, to break down a lot of like the preconceived notions that people have around crypto. It's a scam. It's where all the 419 people go and all that, right? There's a lot of education that needs to be done. And one of the ways in which we're doing that is what you're displaying right there is Yellow Card Academy, right? We have an entire compendium of content that goes into all the basic questions you would ever have around crypto. What is blockchain? What is Bitcoin? What is USDT? What does DeFi mean? When people say DeFi, what
True.
does that mean? And I
Mm,
think for us, we view our mission is completely intertwined with education, right? Helping people understand what crypto is and what it can do for you, right?
mm,
And that's essentially core to our strategy is
yeah.
we have to like work to educate customers to bring them on board. It's not about switching them from another platform or what have you. Yeah.
True. True. Um,
I mean,
So I noticed that before we started speaking, hopefully you hear me now. Before we started
yeah,
speaking, you mentioned there's something called the Yellow Card Academy, and you did say that it was very key for you to push that forward,
yeah.
because of the fact that I do a program like this. I understand that there's still quite a lot of financial illiteracy out there. Let's talk a little bit about financial literacy now and how important it is to the success of a business like Yellow Card.
Yeah, no, I mean, It starts with when people talk of financial literacy, some of the things that they look at is just basic education. But another key metric that people looked at is the unbanked population.
Well, it does seem like she might have gone offline for a few seconds. Hopefully, she'll be able to log back in. Sometimes we have challenges with the internet on both sides. But if you're just tuning in, Alice Tomdio is the CFO of Yellow Card Financial. Let me just give you a little insight into who she is. Now, Alice is talking to us because of how amazing Yellow Card is doing. They just announced that the Pan African Cryptocurrency Exchange closed its $40 million Series B funding. Now, that round was led by Polychain Capital. And the truth is, the funding is going to enable the company to drive exponential business growth and so much more. Thanks so much for joining us, Alice.
Thank you, thank you. Sorry, did I lose you? Let me just.
You did for a few seconds, but the thing is,
Okay.
technology has a mind of its own sometimes, so we're
Yeah,
kind of used to
exactly.
it.
So where do I
So,
take where do I take off from?
so the issue now is from August 2021 till date. So in August, you were able to fundraise about $15 million, which is amazing. So it's a
Hmm.
huge jump from 15 million to 40 million. So
Right.
it does feel like for a lot of other companies, it was a downtrend. This is a major uptrend. What do you think is actually responsible for making this happen?
Well, I think there's two things, right? One is a lot of our investors, and you would see even with us, are bullish about crypto and crypto adoption on the continent, the African continent, right? Africa is the second largest continent for crypto adoption after Asia, right? 52 million crypto users in Africa out of about 320 globally. That's about 16%. So there's huge, huge crypto adoption in Africa following Asia, which is surprising to a lot of people. And obviously, as investors see that, they see the potential. They see that a lot of Africans are using crypto not only for investments, but to solve basic problems, remittance, payments, savings, what have you, right? So that's one, which for any crypto player on the continent, like I say, that there's a lot of room for a lot of us to really plug and play and solve problems. There's not even enough of us. So I think investors are quite bullish about the crypto industry on the continent, which speaks to us and how fast we've grown between August and when we raised in March. And then second is us specifically, right? The team that Chris and Justin, the co-founders, have built, the expansion and how much they've been able to achieve in such a short time, right? When they raised the Series A, I wasn't around yet. We were just in 7 or 8 countries. Now we're in 16 countries in the space of a few months, right? And now we're super aggressive. We just got the first ever crypto license on the African continent in Botswana, right? Which speaks to where we're trying to go. We want to be here long term. So we want to work with regulators to build the right framework to make sure that this industry is safe and secure for everyone. So yeah, I think we are on the fast lane, and we want to grow, and we want to bring crypto to everyone on the African continent. And
Yeah.
that's why.
Do you think it's been working? Do you think it's working the way it's supposed to? Do you actually think the trend is going in the direction it should be? It does feel like there is this apathy that a lot of companies have just not been able to get around, especially in Africa. That risk averse nature the average African is, especially because a lot of people have been burnt before. Now, yes, the numbers are looking good, but are they as good as they could be?
Well, I think I'm biased because I'm in the industry, right? And
Mm.
I see how fast crypto is growing. I mean, last year, Chain Analysis, who are a very good crypto research shop, 6 of the 10 fastest growing crypto adoption countries were in sub-Saharan Africa, right? And in their latest report, which I think came out about 3 weeks ago, a lot of the North African countries actually crept up, which weren't in the year before. Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt. We are not in those markets, and we're super bullish, and we look to get in there. So I
Mm.
think as far as sub-Saharan Africa is concerned, you're already seeing the adoption. People are trying to solve basic problems, right? Young unemployed guys, and gals, right, are
mm,
getting into crypto for investment. Your guy or gal who's selling time, MTN, whatever, Orange, airtime is also selling crypto, right? So there's so many use cases for crypto. It's solving so many different problems for people, right?
mm,
And I think the time is past where crypto is going to disappear on the continent, right? So it's only a matter of us who are in the industry and have the resources and the capabilities to educate our regulators to figure out how to protect regular citizens from bad actors and bad players, right?
mm,
So I
mm.
think it's just a matter of formalizing the industry, but I think it's here to stay and it's only going to grow.
Amen to that, because I've put quite a bit of my change into that as well. And we're keeping our fingers crossed, but we also do understand the importance of technology, and the way adoption of technology over time has become a continuous revolution in so many different ways. I wanted to talk a little bit about your background. I mentioned PricewaterhouseCoopers in your bio there. Now, you've worked in audit, you've worked in finance, essentially in different sectors. Can you give someone watching right now a little, maybe compare and contrast, working in these different industries? Well, it's the same industry, but just in a different capacity. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
When you started working for Yellow Card, how was it different? How were you able to acclimatize working with this team?
Yeah, I guess this is my second stint at a startup, and I really
Mm,
really love it. And I'm wondering why I didn't come in sooner. But it's again, hindsight is 2020. And obviously, any kind of perspective I share is from my own lens and from my own experience, right? I am grateful that I was able to start my career in a large organization where there's a very structured process around progression and training and what you learn in your first year, what you learn in your second year, what you learn in your third year. It's almost like primary education or like the education system. You're supposed to know your ABCs by X age. You're supposed to know your one, two, threes by this age, right? Which is very, very different from a startup, right? Anyone who tells you who started a startup or who's worked in a startup, you're just thrown in and you just solve problems, right? Our founders are super young, right? I moved to Nigeria when they were graduating college, which is crazy. So I think for me, I think I'm grateful that I was able to start off in a very structured environment because after 3, 4 years, I knew my fundamentals. I knew how to communicate. I knew how to build a model. I knew how to, um, stress test things and apply critical thinking. And that basic foundational knowledge has just permitted me to do many different things, including jumping into a startup, which was Paystack first, and then now Yellow Card, and kind of getting an understanding of the lay of the land and adjust. And to be honest, not a lot of people who come from structured environments can adjust to a startup environment because you just have to do so many different things, right? And this is a common thing in the startup world. You almost need to rehire yourself into your job every 3 months because it changes so quickly. So yeah, I think I had very good onboarding, and I think I was curious enough to just unlearn a lot of the things I knew and get into a new environment and learn new things and just navigate the environment. So, I mean, it's my own personal experience, but I think it served me well for what I'm doing now. I'm curious if people have messages from the audience. I'm curious to learn what people want to know about and what they're curious about crypto, about me, about Yellow Card, about anything that's happening in the crypto industry or all the recent news around what's happening across the continent. Yeah. Okay, in the absence of messages, maybe one other thing I could share around us raising our Series B, because I think there's been a lot of questions from people on what the next phase of our growth is, and we've put out some messages around this in the press release. But right now, I get the sense that the crypto industry in Africa is almost at a cusp, where a lot of regulators, even globally, a lot of regulators are trying to figure out how to regulate the industry and how best to approach regulation so you don't kind of hamper innovation. You know, like I mentioned, we got our first virtual asset service provider license in Botswana, which is the first country on the continent to actually put out a regulatory regime around the crypto industry. And then soon after that, South Africa also put out some guidance around the fact that crypto is considered a financial product, and hence you fall under that regulatory regime. And we're seeing now movements in other countries as well. So for us, a big part of our next growth phase and where we hope to deploy a lot of our funds is around education and regulatory engagement and licensing. Like I said earlier, we want to be here long term, and we want Yellow Card to be the safest and most secure platform where if you onboard and you transact on Yellow Card, you know that it's safe and secure, and we're regulated, and so we follow. There's a minimum standard we follow, and that's a big part of our strategy now post Series B. Pursuing any licensing opportunity we have, building out our compliance function. Actually, one of the requirements in South Africa for the new licensing, for the new classification of crypto, is to have a compliance officer, and we have one. We have a chief compliance officer. We have a chief information security officer to make sure that our app is pretty airtight, and there's no scammers, and there's no intruders in there. So I think that's going to be a big part of our next strategy, just tightening our regulatory approach and making sure we can obtain all the licenses, participate in any sandboxes, get involved in any kind of think tanks or lobbying opportunities to build out what a regulatory framework would look like for the crypto industry on the continent. So that's a big part of our strategy going forward with our Series B funding. Great. And I guess if there's no more questions, perhaps another thing I can cover is a recent, I guess some people tend to ask me what keeps me up at night, like what are the two or three things, other than building out a finance function and making sure that we are the best partner to our board and to our investors and to other teams within Yellow Card. The big other thing is just talent. I think recently in Africa, we were seeing a lot of people. I guess in Nigeria, there's a Japa phenomenon, and there's similar phenomenons all across different countries, right? And one thing we are really trying to build out is to provide the right compensation framework for employees and for African citizens. We have 206 employees across 20 different African countries, and that's a big thing for us. We pay in crypto, we pay in USDT, which is tethered to the US dollar, and we try to really be the most competitive globally, right? So I think one big message out there to anyone who's listening or is thinking about Japan, please, I won't be the one to convince you otherwise. I think people need optionality ultimately in life, but know that there are tech companies out there who really want incredible African talent for multiple reasons, not only because you're perhaps a really good coder or software engineer, but also because you know your country and you know the market, which is invaluable to talent. So please check out, we are hiring, especially engineers, we're hiring. Please check us out, yellowcard.io, for job opportunities. And yeah, and definitely give us a shout on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on our website. But thank you so much, Titi. Thanks for having me, and goodbye, everyone.